Hello good people, welcome back. This is Gideon's Take in 20 minutes. Hapa tunawaletea news in the simplest way possible that you can understand them. Unaweza kuwa watch news but maybe you want some kind of interpretation. This is what we do. So let us dive back direct to the news. I want to start with a very simple question. Je, how do you take of the yesterday's news? So we first start with the Gachagua and the United Opposition. So we remember on Saturday ama on Sunday kulikuwa nile memorial service ya kijana wa Malwa. Kijana wa Malwa was the first vice president wa Kibaki that he took over in 2002 akaingia na Kibaki, but in 2003 kijana wa Malwa akakuja akatuacha. So he died in 2003. So they were remembering him on Sunday, and kulikuwa na many people ama many figures of the United Opposition apart from Sifuna and Gachagua. And you remember we were talking with Joe saying that even during the speech ya Uhuru Kenyatta time yenye mentioned kina Kalonzo kama the presidential candidate or the possible presidential candidate, he mentioned Matiang'i, he mentioned Sifuna, he mentioned even he mentioned the others like Martha Karua, but he did not mention kama Gachagua. We could say that was just a slip of the tongue, or maybe we could interpret it further that maybe Uhuru Kenyatta is saying that the situation whereby Gachagua is at right now is not possible for him to be the president. So we can interpret it in so many ways. So he left it at that. And we also remember that when he mentioned the name of the Sifuna, people were like, hey, Sifuna is now becoming an influence to the people and everyone. So anywhere that is mentioned as the president, people are appreciating his presence and they are celebrating it at the same time, and they are showing their affection for the man Sifuna at the moment. So when we came to that, we saw that that day Gachagua was in Kirinyaga. He was touring Kirinyaga, and we also saw fracas there. Yesterday, Joe was talking about how even in Kirinyaga, Gachagua was trying to lift the hand of one Kamau wa Kirago or Murago, that is the man who speaks a lot of Kiswahili, who is the current senator of Kirinyaga. So he was saying that Gachagua was saying that Kamau should stand for the governor's seat and that no one else should compete with him. Hapa alikuwa anataka kuplace Kamau wa Murago kama msee mwenye ni ile ameappointiwa na DCP. Did you see how ODM was doing their things? Like for instance, angeenda place kama Kisumu aseme nataka, ama aende place kama Siaya aseme nataka you give kura zenyu kwa Bwana Orengo, na people will be like okay, kama baba amesema ni Orengo, he knows what he has seen in Orengo, and then people will be like, no, yes, we are going to stand with Orengo to the end. And that's how people, mostly in ODM and Luo Nyanza ODM, used to get their seats. Like you have to baba ama you have to stay closer to baba, ndio ile time atakuja kuannounce as the potential candidate yako itakuwa at least your milestone itakuwa umehit very close, na utakuwa you are drawing closer to the kura. However, wase wa Kirinyaga, they were different. Even after Gachagua lifting the hand of Kamau Murago, people were like, okay, we have seen Girishi campaigning for DCP for a very long time, and we want her to be given a chance and a fair chance for her to compete for that seat. You remember during the UDA in 2017, ile time Bwana Ruto alianza kukosana na Uhuru kidogo na akaunda hii chama yake ya United Democratic Alliance, that is UDA. We saw that Girish was the one who publicized the UDA in Mount Kenya and sana in Kirinyaga. Akaipigia debe sana na akaikimbiza sana hadi wase wakajua UDA ni nini, na then they hooked to the UDA. But when the time for nomination came, Ruto did not give Girish a direct ticket for her to compete for the governorship of Kirinyaga. Ruto aliangalia mbele nyuma kando, then Minji came, that is incumbent governor of Kirinyaga, that is yes, the Minji, I know you know her. Akasema sasa, now it is time for me to open the chance for everyone to compete fairly, na akawaambia sasa mtaenda kumenyana kwa nomination. Hapo ndio Minji that I know Iguru akakuja akamenya Girish akalusi your seat. I think Girish at some point alienda independent hadi akakuja kafail elections or something like that. But after that Ruto did not leave, ama hakuachilia Girish, alimpea hata a seat at the seed board, Kenya seed board, akaongoza hapo kiasi ndio at least ile pesa alikuwa ametumia kupublicize UDA isiende vile. You know how Kenyan politics work. You do something for me, ama you scrub my back, and at some point I'm going to scrub yours. So that's what happens. So Gachagua was there na people ile time alikuwa anataka, wanasema tunataka Girish. They were demanding for the presence of Girish to be felt, ama to be understood, ama for her to be given a chance to talk for herself. So people were like, tunataka Girish, na then Gachagua was so mad because alideny Girish a chance to speak in 2 different stations. Mali alienda akasimama pa kwanza akamnyima kuongea, pa pili akamnyima kuongea. So people are like, we have seen this card being played before, and now we are not going to let it go. So people are like, booing him every time he's talking. They want Girish. So Gachagua interpreted this is Girish who had organized goons to come and boo for us. Akasema the only people who boo their leaders ni wase wa UDA na ODM, hakuna wase wengine. DCP ni chama yake na ni chama ya Mount Kenya, na hataki wase wa Mount Kenya wakipiga makelele. But you would like to interpret that in a very simple way. Ulize kama Gachagua is as influential as he thinks he is, why can't he just give his candidates an open ticket for them to campaign for themselves, instead of kwanza kutaka kuinua mse mmoja mkono na kusema huyu ndiye anastahili? Is it really possible for him to be as open as possible for kila mtu mwenye anataka campaign for that seat asimame tu akampeni hiyo kiti, na akipata kura that's okay, akikosa okay, well and good, because pia si ni kura is about competing for the popularity. Na kama wasa anataka Girishi, why not give Girishi that chance to compete fairly with the people whom she's competing with? So Gachagua was so mad, na hadi he was forced by the crowds to give Girishi some chance to speak. And when Girishi stood and spoke, alipraise DCP, akasema DCP ndio chama yake, ndio chama ya Mount Kenya. You know how politicians work, they just go with the popularity. Ile chama iko popular, hiyo ndio hiyo chama yao, na they want to push it. If you remember when DCP was starting, Girishi was not so much convinced that DCP would take over the mountain the way it has taken. So alikuwa like, hii ni kama tuka wheelbarrow ya Ruto. So for me kwanza naenda nikae UDA kiasi, nikifikiria venye things taenda kukaa. So Girishi akakaa UDA kiasi. So even for her coming to DCP at this moment, people are like, you have seen this before. This is either you are a mole, ama you are just coming here because you can see now the DCP is taking over. However, Girishi ni mse very popular in Kirinyaga, and we would like to see and watch her move. We would like to watch her movements very closely to see how she's going to maneuver around, and as she's asking for hizo kura. So moving quickly, from there we saw yesterday now all the candidates, all the big wings, the leaders of political parties in the united opposition, jana wali meet na wakaunda kitu moja wanaita the coalition of the willing. It ni kama a coalition of willing, but they were signing documents saying that at the end of the day, that is by the time we reach May 29th 2027, they are going to select only one candidate who is going to compete with Ruto. As you have been saying all through, every time now and then, tumekuwa tukisema kama united opposition na wata manage kuchagua one candidate, itakuwa ngumu sana kutoa Ruto, because Ruto is banking on them choosing 2 to 3 candidates so that anaweza manage kiasi, hata maybe anaweza buy mmoja because mmoja atakuwa ametoka na hasira, aseme mimi siwezi compete, but asema kura zangu acha niweke kwa kikapu ya Ruto, ama Ruto achanganye kidogo, ama anze kutumia that now separation as ni watu wenye hata wana mpango, hata hawezi ungana hata kitu kidogo tu, hata hawezi kata coalition, hawezi unda. But unaona hii coalition yetu ya Kenya Kwanza, ya broad based government, we can use all those words to the people. And you know, as Kenyans, how we behave. Every time we see a chance, we use it, we utilize it to the maximum, and would like it to be the chance that we use for us to expose ourselves. So Ruto is banking so much on the disunity in the united opposition. So jana wakamit, wakasign hizo documents, wakasema we are going to naenda kusimamisha one candidate, na huyo ndio ataenda compete na Ruto. So there is one thing that nearly struck me while all that was going on. So Gachagua, in his homestead in Wamnyoro, ali invite almost all the candidates, all the people who support the DCP, na akawaambia wakuja Wamnyoro so that they can have some kind of lunch, they can celebrate. Na what now was striking, ama yenye come out very clearly, ni ya kusema hakuna venye anaweza kusanya all those votes na then azipe mtu mmoja. As you have heard him, alianza na Mrima, akaambia Ruto usiguze Mrima. Ile time alikuwa anabishana na Ruto before atolewe kama kama king, kama deputy president, alikuwa anasema yeye ni tu ni Mount Kenya, ni msa mlima, na usijaribu kuguza mlima. Kuguza mlima ni kufanya nini? Usijaribu kutaka kutenganisha wasa wa Mount Kenya, that is any kind of Mount Kenya people. Na then Gachagua now has been moving that statement, wasa kamita tribalist, hadi wakakuja kazoea, they are like okay, hata ukisema mlima, what does it matter, because tushakuzoea wewe ni tribalist, na maybe wametumia hiyo card hadi wasa kazoea like you people just keep calling this man tribalist, na tunaweza ona his movements venye ana step, tunaona huyu ni msemo mwenye ana make sense with this movement. So Gachagua stood up na akasema mimi hakuna venye naweza kaa chini nikusanye kura, hizi kura zote alafu niziende nizipe kwa niziweka cup moja niende nizipe mtu. Hakuna. Me as Gachagua, I'm not the kingmaker, I am the king. What does that mean? Gachagua yeye alisema aendi kukaa chini akue dictated on how to become the president. Yeye ndiye ataenda kuwa president, either you kidding or you dicking, you kitake it ama ustake it. So how do we take from this? As we can see from impeachment bars anyone who has been impeached from vying for any political position. So Gachagua is positioning himself as the presidential candidate now for the united opposition. This means after if his appeal can be accepted that he can run for the presidency, Gachagua will never give any chance to anyone now to run for the presidency. What does it mean now for the united opposition? Are they really willing to give Gachagua any chance to run for the president? And I have always taken, as I have always said, even in the previous statements, even the polls as they come in, when the polls are being run and they are asking who might be the presidential president, you unaweza ona kina Matiang'i, kina Kalonzo, kina Sifuna competing for the position 1, 2, 3, but Gachagua will always come a distant third. Why? Because people are like, okay, Gachagua, we understand that you have influence in Mount Kenya, but we do not feel your leadership capability or qualities, because you are once the deputy president, and what we saw from you was not something that is good and not something worth celebrating. So we will not like to see you as our president. So people are like, we would like to give you that chance, but we feel when you give you that chance, you might misuse it and you might use it against us. So Gachagua weka kando kidogo, wacha watu waendelee, wacha watu wasonge kiasi, wasonge mbele na mambo, wacha watu wapange maneno, wacha Kalonzo akue president. If not Kalonzo, acha Matiang'i take over. If not Matiang'i, acha kijana yetu Sifuna, the youngest man, the youngest bullfighter in that in the whole group, acha take over that presidency, and we see how a change can happen. So they are standing now, they are trying to fight Ruto in a very united front. We are asking one thing: are they really willing to risk? Are they willing to sacrifice their ego for them to get Ruto out of that seat? Because you understand, when Gachagua said that he's not a kingmaker, he's the king. Even if he's not given a chance to run for the presidency, he has one bullet that is left to control Mount Kenya. And by controlling Mount Kenya, it means that whoever becomes the president, he has to bow now to Gachagua. He has to do whatever Gachagua does. Like atakuwa tu kifaraga, ama he will be a proxy of Gachagua. Atakuwa like whatever Gachagua wants is whatever whoever becomes the president does. So when Gachagua says that he's not a kingmaker, he's a king, he knows what he's saying. That's why at some point I was here telling you that Gachagua said, alisema tu peupe kabisa on the open air, akasema he want to get 24 governors, he want to get at least 24 senators, he want to get at least around he said around 188 MPs, he want to get more than 600 MCS, because he knows when he controls those statistics, some of that data, some of that number of people, there's no one who is going to control him. He's going, whatever he says goes. Hata kama wewe ndio president, yeye akisema ataki hiyo mswada yenye unapitisha, ataki. Na ile time wanabunge wamekuja akasema hii finance bill tunataka iweke pesa fulani iende mahali fulani, na Gachagua ndiye amesema it will go like that. So Gachagua is not a kingmaker, but as a king, he's going to lead this country, either you kidney or you dicking. So let us look how that unfolds. Is he really, or is he capable of controlling the houses, both the upper house and the lower house? We are going to be looking at that closely. And when you hear him talking, he has said that he has already consolidated Mount Kenya from south that is akaongeza Ukambani and all that na southeastern pia northern akaongeza time side ya Marsabit na Isiolo. So anasema is now moving to Lowland. When we follow closely the news about Gachagua, on Sunday he said that he's going to be taking a break a little from Kenya. Anataka kwanza ende US ndio afikirie mambo kiasi ya chama yake ya DCP without being influenced by people. So when we see him moving, yes, his brigade ama his people who are moving with him and they are telling him what to do from here or where to go from when he stops from here. So it's like, okay, you people are telling me what to do, but out of that all that noise I cannot make a very clear decision. So if I can take just a little time of myself, of my own, mi nikae tu kando tu kiasi peke yangu, nifikiria about chama yangu ya DCP, nione venye ndaijenga, nione venye ndaiyumba, nione kama itaumbika, I think I can come up with something very great. So anasema he's going to move to the US on Wednesday so that he can discuss a little with these people in the US. You know, ile time mtu anataka kufanya vitu kubwa kubwa, you don't do with the locals. So ile unataka kufanya maisha yako ikuwe mzuri, uendangi ushago ati saa kwanza kuipangia hapo, unaipangia mjini then ushago tu unaenda to show off. So ile time ameenda huko mjini, huko majuu, huko kabisa, na aenda ongea na wale watu wake wakubwa wa US, wamwambie sasa wenye tunaona vitu zinaenda Kenya, tunaona ukeza kick out Malala, then uangalie tu kidogo kuna mseni nimeona akiwa na mdomo sana anaita Girishi, enda kukomesha yeye, ama tengeneza tu vitu zako in 1, 2, 3 ways, then mambo itakuwa fiti. Ama wamwambie the way we can see Kenya now is too democratic, so the moment umeguza mtu mmoja wengine atakuwa afraid that you might do the same to them, so give them an open chance for them to compete for whatever position they are doing. Then maybe when he does that, things might look better for him. We don't know, we are still watching to see what happens after that. So that's Gachagua. For now, he's now trying to do everything possible so that he can consolidate his power around whatever he's doing, so that he can see whether he's going to control the parliament, the senate, the MCA seats, and even the counties. Because when he does that, it will be very easy for him to make sure that he has power and he has an influence, and most importantly, that he's not a kingmaker but the king himself. He said that Kenya was trying to impose $50,000 insurance cover for anyone who is coming to Kenya, that any visitor is coming to Kenya. We saw that and people talked about that, they discussed. I know there are people in Kenya, we are too democratic. There are people who ran to their courts and they said that this one is going to chase a lot of tourists from Kenya. And you know, Kenya tourism is not too vibrant since there are so many things that are happening around. When you compare tourism in Kenya with our neighbors Tanzania, Uganda, Rwanda, Kenya is a little bit slow, and that one is given because we are not also doing very well as a country. So when they add now something like insurance cover, which takes around $50,000, that means that a lot of tourists will not be willing to come to Kenya because that is a lot of money. So someone ran to the courts and said that now if you can stop this nonsense, maybe we can get a lot of tourists. Although there are so many people who are saying that tourists do not come. We had Gachagua saying that Kenya is not too safe for the tourists. I don't know what we did to counter that, but you can see that is just political statements that are made by everyone. Even when you hear Trump saying some things, we do not take them literally for what he's saying. We say, hiyo ni too political. So we ignore some of those things and we expect the courts to chip in and try to control those narratives and make everything clear. So the courts came in and said that they are suspending that fee and that anyone who wants to come to Kenya can come, either with or without the fee, and everything that they are doing will take over very easily. There is one thing that also disturbs me a lot. Everyone who wants to feel heard or wants to feel like they are controlling masses, some they are controlling people, they always invoke the name of the young people. They say, the young people have said, we want the young people to do this and that. Now, in the recent past, we have heard Gachagua say that he sacrificed his job so that he can fight for the young people. When you remember in June 25, 2024, Gachagua stood up and said that he's talking for the youth. But now, even before that, for the people who understand how finance bills are made, finance bills, even the finance bill for the next year is now being on the on the process of being made. So anyone who wants to contradict those finance bills, now they should start talking now. It's telling the people what is in the finance bill, the proposals in the finance bill that are not fit for the people and what the people should think about them. So Gachagua did not do that. He just waited until the end of it, when the people now are rising against Ruto and they saw a chance. We have talked several times, many times about this, and said that when you see a chance, you try to die with it. You just try to chip in and get it. So Gachagua saw that a chance when Ruto now is toppled by the people. He's now the second in the command. And when Ruto is now done with, Gachagua will take over. So he decided, now this is the time for me to show that I stand with the people, so that when the people refuse the person on the throne, now I can take over very easily. So he stood and said that he is standing with the people. Akaanza kusema ni kama venye anatetea watu. Na anasema venye tu sacrifice now for the youth, for the youth who are being killed on the streets. Now the youth should sacrifice for him. But I'm asking the youths, do you really feel that? Do you really feel that Gachagua sacrificed his job for us? Ama alikuwa na agenda zake? Do you really take it from me that anything that he was doing for himself? Because even hiyo time alikuwa anasimama kupinga finance bill, hiyo alikuwa anajaribu kusema ni kama anasimama na watu. I know there is something that was in his mind, and he knew that he's going to invoke this and try to invoke emotions in us, try to make us emotional, to make us feel like we are indebted to him and that we should pay him back. Like, acha tulipe jamaa alisimama na sisi, acha to make sure tumempea aka kit ndio at least apate kitu. In other news, El-Nino is coming. I don't know how prepared you are for El-Nino. Last time we saw that maji kwa Nairobi ilikuwa inaingia hadi kwa gari, tunakuwa tumekwama. Sijui how much are we pushing our leadership to make drainage. Hata sisi wenye tunakaa on the lowlands, how prepared are we for the coming El-Nino? Because we have been given warning for a very long time. So kwenye mnakaa in a risky places, please make arrangements so that you can live in a very better way, na pia msikue katika risk ya kumezwa na maji when the water comes. Okay, according to Nation Media Daily Nation, wamesema there's a fight that is going on in Transmara between I think the Kisii and I don't know the people of Narok or something like that, the Transmara border. It is saying that this fight just started very easily from the bar. Hapa kulikuwa na vijana wawili wanakunywa tu kamnyeso yao mfinyo. And then these guys had a target on one lady. So ile time wali approach that lady, wakaona, hey manze, you have taken my lady, and the other one was like, you have taken my lady. So they started fighting. So after fighting a little bit, this thing is escalated to the family. So families zao wase wawili zikakuja zikaingiliana pia, zikaanza kumenyana kidogo. Hizo families zikaona, mbona unapiga mtu wetu na mnawapiga kama familia? So kama ikaanza sasa tuone ikakuwa larger war. Hapo inasemekana there are so many schools that are not opening, na hiyo war imekuwa kubwa hadi saa inaanza nikakuwa ni kama community fighting against other community. So my question is, as Kenyans, how do we de-escalate really? If we can start fighting in a bar for a lady and now make the war too much even for communal war, are we really that desperate for things? Too depressed for us to control our emotions? Tunataka tu at some point tumenyane tu hadi turidhike, atutoe hiyo pressure yenye tuko nayo? So let us think about that. In other news, Kagucia said that his utterances that he spoke in Kikuyu were misinterpreted, and he said that in interpretation that was given to him in English was not the correct one. And he said that unless now they make that interpretation better, they interpret his utterances better, he's not going to apologize, he's not even going to do that. He said that while he was in the NCIC, and he said that the interpretation that were given to his utterances were not correct, and that anaekelewa mavitu. So either we interpret hizo vitu vizuri things are not going to be well. Another news, Moi University was to render around 75 lecturers. They were going to be rendered redundant. That means that whatever they are teaching is either not futuristic, it's not even catering for the current needs. So they are saying that these 25 lecturers are going to be laid off, they are going to be renda kukatwa while they are trying to manage their budget. If you have heard about the rise and the fall of the Moi University, so a university that was rising very fast and was doing very well until something happened. Now it has accumulated a lot of debts out of nowhere, and now they are trying to look for so many ways to cut these debts. Now they are trying to navigate and look for how they are going to cut these 75 lecturers. And they are saying that they are going to mark these 75 lecturers as redundant, that they are not serving the purpose that they were meant to serve. And this means that if these lecturers are let to go, these are 75 people who are professionals who are going to lose their jobs. So also students say that once these people are let out, they are going to strike. They are threatening for a strike, so that they to force Mount Kenya to keep these people in the office. So what do you take of that? I don't know. I'd like to hear from you. In other news, Mbadi says that he's going to be the 6th president of Kenya. You know, everyone who feels powerful enough, they just look for ways to keep people engaged. We had Mbadi came to the limelight when he was opposing the government, saying our government is doing everything wrong. Until now, Baba shook hands with Ruto and said that he's going to donate a number of professionals. Mbadi was one of them, and he was given the treasury seat. I know when you get to understand things from the inside, you feel like they are too powerful, and you don't remember that the people are the one who give people power. So it's saying that he's going to become the 6th president of Kenya. What do you take of that? Yeah, I'd like to give my comments, but I will withhold them for now so that I can hear what you people are going to say. Lastly, Ruto says that he approached Uhuru so that they can discuss Kenya's vision beyond 2030. Hii ni kama kutaka kudiscuss how they want Kenya to be. Say that to give Uhuru a chance to be a statesman so they can discuss the future of Kenya together. But Uhuru said, I have nothing to say to you. Ni kama kuapproach msichana ukitaka kumwambia vitu mzuri then anakuangalia tu anakuambia manze. For me, I don't feel you man. Songa tu mbele, hata kama uko na vitu mzuri, uko na mavision zako, enda usikumane na zacha tu nikae na msako na television. So that's it for now. I hope that you're going to discuss about those news and see what is happening in our country, because the better you understand our country, the better you're able to make our decisions clear, and also our choices, we are going to make them even better. And I hope that I see you in the next news. Otherwise, I'm Gideon, and I'm the spokesperson for the millennials. Now, Gen Z mkikuja sana, tutawachapa. See you in the next news.